One that we're most excited to talk about, and that is the main piece to our episode today, is Malekith the Accursed. Before I get into the model and the rules, well, before I get into the rules, I want to talk about the model, and I mean, probably best model, most gorgeous model in the game. That's kind of where I'm sitting. What do you guys think?
I would agree.
Yeah, it's big, it's beautiful.
I definitely showed it off for like 10 minutes on one episode you weren't a part of. So I just sat there and spun it around on the website for like 5 minutes. So
You're a little
I
bit.
don't think.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you're fine.
I was just say you're a little bit picky and choosy with what you buy sometimes, Brad. Is this something that you're going to be picking up?
Nope.
No, still gotta stay away from him, huh?
Nope, not picking him up.
All right. He is a gorgeous piece. Seems a little bit more. It's a little intimidating to paint. That's the vibes that I'm getting from him. But well, let's
Simple way to solve that.
yeah, just don't paint him.
Stop paying him.
Yeah. Well, let's get into Malekith the Accursed, aka Malekith. He is a 4/4/4 stat line character, coming in at 10 health, 8 on his injured side, 7 threat, size 4, and a medium mover. He has flight and immunity to hex and stun. So I think the best way to do this, because he has just an insane amount of stuff. We're going to start off with the stat block first. 4/4/4 is similar to Dormammu. 10 health is similar to Dormammu. However, 8 on his flip side is less. He's coming in at 1 threat less, size 4 medium move, and then flight with immunity hex stun. What do you guys think? And he does have a little bit that will tie into his stat line that makes this a little bit better. But what do you guys, at first glance, for how they've balanced this out for a 7 threat character? What do you guys think?
I think it's. Is there another 7 threat character in the game?
No.
Like innately?
Not innately. He's the first one.
Okay. I mean, I think I like the 4/4/4. He's big, and with 10 health, he's gonna draw a lot of attention, and he has defensive tech. But I mean, just naked stats, I'm worried that he's gonna be a big target.
Okay, what do you think, Brad?
I think if they pushed it past 4/4/4, he'd probably be too good. So stat wise, I think he's probably sitting pretty comfortable.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, and then you got to play him a little bit, Brandon. What do you think?
I would have liked a 5 in there somewhere.
Maybe a 5 would be okay.
Yeah, just one. Dormammu has 1, so I think that would have been.
That's why he's
okay.
8 points.
8 points is a lot. 7 points is a lot too. So let's not get.
The one thing, which I mean, it's fine. I will say that I played out of. Brandon's also played a lot of Dormammu. I've played a lot of Dormammu, and one thing that I really liked that they did, which it did make sense thematically, is that he's 4/4/4. He's an 8 threat character, and 10 health is awesome, but it only gets you so far. And I really loved that he could not be incinerated, just for the sheer fact that you're investing so much into that character that the fact that the enemy can't reduce your defenses to really pile on the damage to him just felt really good. And I feel like with Malekith, if he gets incinerated and he goes down to a 3/3/3, I think that feels pretty bad. But maybe that's just me.
I think a big thing that'll help with him is that they cannot modify their attack dice when targeting him. So I think that becomes pretty relevant for him. Instead of giving them a 5, they gave him tech. Yeah, which is okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't mind the I don't mind the 444. I think the 10 is very adequate. The 7 is the awkward thing.
The 7 threat. It
For
does.
me, yeah.
Well, I
It
mean, you
makes
can
list
do a
building
3.
awkward.
You can do a 3. Like, a lot of things start at 10-point core, right? So you can just pepper in a 3, and then you're at your 10-point core. So it's not the
We'll
worst
go
thing
over,
ever.
yeah. We'll go over the awkwardness later on that 7.
All right, well,
Get to different segment.
let's cover. So let's take it in blocks. Let's move over to his attack suite now, and just kind of cover what he's looking at as far as attacks go. So his first attack, which is a standard builder attack, power equal to damage dealt, is an energy range 2 7 dice that has wild pierce. So very, very good. Energy attacks are probably the best type of attack in the game now, I think. 7 dice is amazing, and then a wild pierce is just amazing. And then getting power equal to damage dealt on this attack is going to be really, really good. He has a Blood Boil Mystic attack, which is a beam 4 5 dice attack, free cost. After each attack is resolved, he gains a flat power, so he both has a traditional builder as well as just a flat gainer attack. And it has wild poison, so every time the attack is resolved, target character gains poison. Finally, he has the Butcher of Thor's physical attack, which is range 3, 10 dice for power cost. After this attack is resolved, place Malekith within range 1 of the target character, and it has a wild dark curse. So after the attack is resolved for each wild in the attack roll, the defending character gains a special condition from bleed, shock, slow, or stun. So we'll start with you this time, Brad. What do you think about his 3 attack suites, having one of every type in the game, as well as having access to a range 3, a beam 4, and a range 2?
I think he's probably going to do the beam more than he's going to do the energy attack because of ranges. It's just harder to get range 2 attacks off. I think they're pretty good attacks, real good attacks. So that's kind of what you want to see on a 7-point model is they have to be good. Like they have to be as good as a 4 and a 3 put together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think he pretty much accomplishes that.
I really also love that he has a traditional builder as well as a gainer, so you can do kind of what you need in a pinch. What do you think?
The
Okay.
gainer's a beam, so
Yep.
he gets that one multiple times potentially.
Yep. What do you think, Fred?
I love it. I love these attacks. These attacks are great. My favorite one is that Spender, and he's on a big old base. You can place him within range 1 of the target, so that could be on the other side of the target.
Yep.
Which means that you're basically across the board from where you started.
Yep. Range 3 and a one range 1 place on a large base is just, it's insane mobility.
That's crazy. I mean, that's so awesome. And then who knows what you're in range to beam or hit with your builder after that? I mean, that's incredible. I'm all about that.
Yeah, I think he's going to be getting off several of those just with how his power economy works. I think he'll probably be getting off a lot of those in a game too. So, well, what do you think, Brandon?
First of all, I would like to comment on Brad saying range 2 might be difficult with him. I don't think that's ever going to be the case. He has a large base that moves medium and has a charge.
The charge does help.
That he always will have power for because he gains 2 power in power phase. A 7 dice pierce is insane. A beam 4 with poison is also extremely good. Butcher of Thor's is the only double-digit base attack that we have in the game.
Yeah, it's power 10. It's got a weight of 10.
What is Electra's?
Oh, wait.
Yeah, wait.
Right? Is Electra's 9 or 8?
It's 8. Yeah.
I guess I have to get back here. All right. The game I played one game with Malachith. We played 3 turns, or did we get to a 4th turn?
I think it was 3.
3 turns. I Butcher of Thors twice, both turns 2 and 3.
Yep.
You're gonna have the power. Um, being able to charge into Blade of Midnight and then Butcher of Thors is so good.
Yeah.
Like, we have models that murder things. I do not think we have models that murder things like Malekith is going to murder things. Having a 7 dice pierce and a throw and an advance.
Yep.
Like, it's just wow. Because, like, you can move Ferocity on turn 1. Now you have a 7 dice with pierce and a throw. So now if you do daze that character, now you can remove a damage, gain a power, and then advance short with its affiliation.
Well, we'll get there in a second. You mentioned ferocity. Let me skip over the leadership. We'll kind of cover that last, and let me go into it so you guys know what Brandon's talking about. He does come with 3 superpowers. One being ferocity, which what Brandon was talking about, which is a 2 power cost active superpower, which is an action, and it is a charge. So he immediately makes a move action. So keep in mind this is a large base moving medium, followed by a Blade of Midnight attack action. So that's his energy range 2 7 dice. If the attack deals damage after it's resolved, you can throw the target character short. There is no size restriction on it, and he can only use that once per turn. I mean, we'll get just into how good that is here in a moment. He has a reactive Cloak of Shadows. After this character rolls attack, defense, or dodge dice, but before resolving the critical step, it may spend any amount of power to use a superpower, and for each one spent, choose a skull to treat as a crit for the remainder of the attack. So he has Reality Gem or Domino's effect on a
Domino's effect.
Yeah. So got that on it. Does it work exactly like Domino's?
I'm double checking that right now.
So I mean, it's just turn skulls into crits is awesome, and
Yes, it is the same wording.
so you can preload if you roll into more skulls, correct?
Yes, you can pay more than what you have skulls out, and any extra skulls you roll will be crits up to the amount you paid.
Yep. So I mean, it's nuts, and you know he rolls in power from what I've experienced. He's just always gonna have a ton of power to be able to do this all the time. It's just really good. And then finally, he has a passive Conqueror of the 10 Realms. During the power phase, he gains an additional power. So he's always has 2 power, which means ferocity is always online. And then additionally, characters cannot modify their attack dice when targeting this character with attacks. So you can't modify against him, and he can turn his skulls into crits when he's defending and dodging. So let's start with you this time. Well, we'll start with you, Brandon, because you know you're kind of already touching on ferocity. So why don't you go over what you think about his superpower suite there?
So when we played our game, we definitely played Cloak of Shadows as if you couldn't preload. He always has power. Like, he always has a lot of power. It's everything he like. This is not a character you're ever really gonna worry about not having power. Um, like, he's always gonna have enough. The no size restriction on ferocity is absolutely insane. Um, I mean, everything about this model is just amazing. Um, oh, sorry about that. Not it's just like you can every line you go down, you're like, oh, that's amazing. You're like, oh, it can't get better. And it's like, oh, just kidding. He has the arguably the best charge in the game, and then it's like, oh, I can't get better than that. And it's like, and he can count all his skulls as crits. And they're like, I can't get better than that. And it's like, he's gonna get enough power every turn to do that charge. And then he has defensive tech because you can't modify your dice against him. And then it's like, and he's immune to hex and stun. So it's just like every line you get to, it's just like it just gets better and better every time. Yeah, like the only thing about ferocity is fun because like in our game, I wanted to ferocity into Butcher of Thors. I think it was on turn 3 after I'd already done it, turn 1 and 2. It's just like, oh yeah, it'd be really nice to just be able to, Frosty the Butcher of Thors, and it's like, no, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
And I really like what they're doing. This is something I wanted to touch on, and kind of I have a lot of fond things to say about this fine gentleman on a flying tiger. Um, I love that they're doing the same thing on. I didn't want to mention it during Armanzola. I kind of wanted to wait for this. I really love that they are doing a wild that something happens for each wild you roll. Um, versus just like, because like on Dark Curse, it's like if you roll 4 wilds, now you can give that character bleed, shock, slow, and stun. Um,
Don't forget about my man Hawkeye. He's been doing that since the good old days.
yeah, but it's not something. Yeah, I apologize, but it's not something we have
We don't have
common.
It's not common, yeah.
Yeah, it's something that I think there's one other model that does it, and I can't think of who it is. I think it's a Sap Power, if I'm not mistaken, or something.
Sat power just works that way.
Yeah, it's not that. I'm trying to think. I thought there was another model that did
I
something
think
like
there
that.
is.
It's not like, it's obviously not a like heavily played model, but I believe there's another model. I'll figure it out eventually. It'll hit me in the middle of the night, and I'll bring it up first thing or next podcast. Um, but I really like that they're doing that. Um, everything about this character is just absolutely insane. Like, I mean, you do have the 8 health on the backside is probably scary, but he's also size 4, which is extremely relevant this day and age in the game. Where with after the errata, they added a lot of size restrictions on a lot of characters, not a lot of pushes, movements, throws that can do size 4. Being size 4 himself and being able to throw size 4, the only other character in his like 8, 6, 7, 8 range that can do that, I believe, is Hulk. Because Dormammu can't. I think Thanos can push like any size and like move any size, but uh, you don't have someone who can throw those size 4 characters. There's not a lot of characters that can throw size 4 characters, so him being size 4 is extremely relevant going forward. So I'll let someone else talk for a moment.
Well, we can finish rounding out the superpowers. What do you think, Fred?
I think that most of what I was going to bring up has been covered. There is one thing that I find kind of interesting is that this character has one of each type of attack and one of each type of superpower.
Superpower?
I guess
Yep.
he has 2 passives, but I think that's interesting. He's got an affiliation, he's got an active superpower, a reactive, and 2. So his card has every symbol on it.
His card has so much stuff on the text on the regular rules they had to put the flight and immunity hex stun underneath the portrait. So
Under the portrait.
they ran out of room. Yeah, he has one of every attack type, and he has one of every single blip of text that you could have. So
Yeah, I think this is cool as hell.
what do you think about the superpowers, Brad?
Well, as someone who plays Domino in 2 of the things I've played the most, Cloak of Shadows is really good.
Yep.
Really good.
Yep.
And they just threw that on there, like, yeah, here you go.
I mean, I've seen Domino kill things that she should not have.
Yeah, and she rolls 4 dice.
Yeah,
And
well,
she also survives a lot more than she should.
yes,
That's what
that is
gives
the one
me a
thing.
lot of
Well,
hope
yeah.
for Malekith.
She does
She
have rapid
also-
fire, but
She also has the thing where they can't explode crits. So that helps on both ends of that he doesn't have, but not modifying is also good when you're defending. So
well, the last thing that we'll talk about to round out his card, because he does not have, other than his health pool does decrease by 2 when he's injured. The last thing that we will cover is that he does bring the Dark Council Cabal leadership to the game. So the leadership states, when this character or an allied character dazes or KOs an enemy character, choose another non-dazed allied character. After the effect is resolved, the chosen character may remove 1 damage, may gain 1 power, and may advance short. A character can be affected by this leadership ability only once per round. So similar to Sam Wilson in some aspects, and we know how highly regarded Sam Wilson is. He's a heavily played member of Avengers, played at the very highest level of TTSs in a lot of games. A lot of people were bringing him. He's a very, very good piece. It's a very, very strong leadership. Um, so instead of, one of your characters getting dazed or KO'd and you picking one of yours to move, you have to daze or KO an enemy character, and then you get to choose one of yours to move. And you don't shake a condition. You gain a power instead. The heal of the 1 damage in advanced short is still the same. Uh, I like this one a little bit better than Sam's. It does come with a heavier price tag, but Sam's you had to kind of wait for the enemy to daze or KO your character. So you had agency in what you did with like your movement and your heal and your condition shake and stuff. Um, you had agency with that, but you didn't really have necessarily agency on when it happened. This you have full agency over everything. You have, agency on like when you want to daze or KO a character. You can try to go do that. So you pick, when you want to daze or KO to get your leadership, you get to pick what you do with your leadership's character, and I love that. I love how much agency that this grants you over what you're doing. But let's start with you this time, Fred. What do you think about this leadership that he's bringing to Cabal?
I love it. I love it. I think it's my favorite one in Cabal by like a long shot.
I mean, I think that was pretty easy to do.
Yeah, I think it's really useful, and I think you summed it up great. I couldn't have said it better myself. That it's Sam Wilson, except you get to control everything about it. So it's really, I love it. And it'll come up later, but this was uh, my roster that I kind of brought with him is based on his affiliation. So technically Cabal.
Awesome.
But
What do you think? What do you think, Brad?
Well, it certainly can't hurt the faction with the lowest win rate in Longshanks. So this can only help them.
That will 100% change.
The thing about the affiliation the most is that it is in Cabal, so like you are locked in to Cabal, and the thing is, I don't really know. So like usually when you take like Sam Wilson for example, you could either play like full Sam Wilson, which a lot of people did, and you could get a lot of tech pieces in your roster because Sam was 3. Or, you could double down and you could play Sam and you could play like Cap. That was also regular Cap Steve Rogers. Or, if you wanted tech, you could also have Hulkbuster. So you could play in affiliation and, rely on your other leaderships within affiliation. I don't know that you do that with Malekith too much. Like you take him and you'll clearly take Cabal characters because they do have a very wide roster to take. I don't know that you pair him up with Red Skull or Sin really, so I think you're probably only going to be playing Malekith as far as like Cabal goes. I do think that he probably needs a pair affiliation to go with him, but unfortunately you're probably not going to get that in faction. So, but I can think. What do you think, Brandon? Do you like this leadership?
Yeah, I do. Sorry, I don't. I'm trying to, I got yelled at because I ramble a lot earlier, so I'm trying to not do that as much. No, this affiliation's amazing. They're gonna kill stuff. They're gonna kill a lot of stuff. There's a lot of killing models in Cabal. The biggest issue with Cabal is Sin sucks and Red Skull sucks. Like having to forcefully play Red Skull all the time is not good. Um, the one thing about this is with a lot of these threat levels, these when you have a 6, 7, 8 threat leader, you really want another affiliation when that leader can't shine um, in those lower point games, um, which is something me and Jared have talked about. But you can play Malekith at 14 and 15, and it's scary.
He can, when you get to that small of a threat value, if you go with like a big character, I mean it depends on the crises because you don't want to, be outscored and stuff. So if it's super super wide, I mean at 14 it might be one time that like, you maybe can't bring Malekith, but if it's anything where it's a little bit more condensed, or if you can lock in, like even if your opponent goes for a wide extract and you can manage to lock in a more narrow secure, I mean, this guy at low threat is going to be such a pain to deal with that you could, to Brand's point, you could make it work, I think. So,
Yeah, I think there's a lot. And something that like a lot of like you kind of have to realize too with the Dark Council, like exactly what you guys are saying, like where you're in control of it, that's super super relevant in the aspect of like you can be off of a point, like you can kind of situate yourself around it. So like if a model only has like 1 or 2 health left, I mean you're obviously playing a gamble, but like if you're gonna go in for an attack and it's your last action and you can daze them, now all of a sudden you can move a character small. You can get that character on a point that they may not have been on before that attack happened. So you can kind of play around with exactly what you guys have been saying, where you can control it, where you can then you can help your character stay alive longer, get more power to where they're in a situation for next turn leading up, and now you just put them on a point to get more points. Um, and dazing a character. Like I think there's going to be a lot of that going on. I think they're going to be playing, um, with this affiliation. You're going to be playing obviously to your strengths, but when we get to a different portion, I'll go over some other stuff um, that I think they're really going to shine at as far as roster construction, scenario play, and stuff of that nature.
well, we can kind of, I mean, we've covered everything bit by bit. We've kind of given our thoughts at each section. So I guess we'll kind of go through and we can give just like one last general summary of what we think before we get into roster and we get into character reviews. So let's start with you this time, Brad. What do you think? Just as kind of like last thoughts on Malekith, do you think that you'll be playing him? Like overall, do you think that he's really going to shake up the game? What are your kind of last
Oh,
thoughts there?
I think he'll shake up the game, but I'm not going to be playing him. I guess I'll have fun playing against him. Hopefully, I win.
All right.
He
Yeah, the
seems
person
good.
who
It's
said he
going to be
wasn't going to
tough.
buy him probably isn't going to play him.
Yeah.
Well, what about you, Fred? What do you think? Just general last thoughts on Malekith.
I love all of this. I love his play style. I love him. I love everything. I will be buying him, and I will be playing a Cabal list with him in it.
All right. Well, what do you think, Brandon? I mean, clearly we kind of already know what you think. But what do you think?
I am going to buy him. I'm going to play him.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I look at him.
I've only already built like 7 different rosters.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell from here that you're 6 to midnight the whole time we've been talking about Malekith. So. Yeah, I mean, for seventh threat, I mean, I think that he's just great value. Again, as somebody that's played like a lot of Dormammu, I think this guy feels much better in terms of what you can get done on the table, and that's what you want out of your high threat set pieces. Like you've bought this big beefy boy, you want to put him on the table, you want him to look cool, you want him to look imposing, and you want him to do the work that you're kind of paying for. And I mean, he just this
He is
card,
a lot of what Dormammu. I think a lot of people really wanted Dormammu to be.
yeah, like he just every single bit of text on his card, I'm just like, yeah, that's awesome. Like this guy, literally, I don't know how. Like, I don't have a single complaint, and I don't know how they could have like made him any better. Like he's an awesome piece. Everything about him just great, and I mean, it's just well done, AMG. So we'll kind of I guess go on to our grading now, and then we'll kind of get into roster talk a little bit, see what these guys have brought today. So yeah, I think I'm talking, so I'll just go ahead and do it. I think he's an S. I think he is good enough to put up there. I think that he's going to do. I mean, I think that he single-handedly is just going to absolutely shake up the win rate for Cabal, and I think that he just brings so much to the table. And yeah, I'm gonna put him in S. Let's just switch to you, Brad. What do you think?
A plus.
A plus. Fred?
I'm with you. I want to give him an S. I'm excited as hell. There is one other thing. I don't mean to do the. Actually, come talk to me after Brandon gets his score.
Okay.
All right, that's me.
All right, Brandon.
I cannot. I did actually think I may come in with the highest score on this character. However, I did impose the rule that you cannot give pluses or minuses above A. So I cannot give him a score higher than everyone else. I also believe he's an S tier character.
All right. All right, Fred. Let's double back. What you got?
We know 2 of his tactics cards.
Correct. Yeah.
And
So let's take a look at those really quick.
And I've been waiting for you to talk about this.
I apologize.
I forgot about him too, or I would have brought him up. I
Okay.
got Fairy La La Land. I've
All right. So we got 3 S ranks, followed by an A plus rank. So I mean, this guy we think is going to be awesome. So let's start with Black Bifrost because the other one excites me way more than this. So and it's still a good card. So the Black Bifrost, it's Cabal, it's reactive. During the power phase, Malekith the Accursed may spend 3 power to play this card. Place a Black Bifrost token within range 1 of Malekith, then place another Black Bifrost token within 5 of Malekith. Once per turn, during the character's activation, while within 1 of a Black Bifrost token, you can suffer 1 damage to be placed within 1 of another Black Bifrost token. So, I mean, it's portals, except you take a damage to go through it instead
And
of
pentagrams.
or pentagrams. Yeah, everybody always called it portals. Yeah, pentagrams. So it's essentially the defender's thing, except you take damage. Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think?
it's neat. It's neat.
The thing that probably stands out the most is that it's a range. I mean, it's further than range 5 because you're within 1 of 1, and then it's 5 away, and then you're 1 of another. You can probably do some goofy things with like extracts, maybe.
Well, he can also where he's on that large base. If he's the one, he's probably gonna be the first one to go through it. And there's just a lot of things that he can do.
I mean, he can get anywhere in the board, right? He just goes through it, and then
Well, he can go
ferocities.
back. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he can go back. So being able to, God, and it's kind of odd because he doesn't need the movement shenanigans. I
This
think
is
I
clearly
would
for
have.
crossbones. Clearly.
This will. I need everybody to know how well I bit my tongue on a specific character we talked about earlier, who also has a small movement.
Are
I
you
did.
talking about Arnim Zola?
Yeah, I held myself for
He's on a
solid
medium
30
base.
minutes.
He's on a bigger base.
He's on a
He's on
bigger
He is
base.
on a. That is beneficial for him.
That's the
A
key.
small. That is what matters. So that's why it's not as relevant because he's on that medium base. Anyway, I would have liked this to just be a straight up Cabal character card. Just like him being I mean, like I said, he's gonna have the power. He's probably gonna have the power on turn 2 to play it. If you want to, if this is something that tickles your fancy. There's not really any shenanigans I think left that you could really do with Crisis.
I mean, no. I mean,
I mean, you can set it up to where you can get to both clouds on like Terrigen clouds. Uh,
So they
but I
start
mean,
moving.
yeah, well, yeah, it's in the, but he's not gonna have trouble getting to those anyway. So it's not. It is kind of. I think it's fine. It's just an odd thing to be on him where he already has so much movement with his
I
affiliation,
tell you what
with his character and everything. It's just kind of weird.
what I like about this is like if you play Modok, who like Modok is killy. Maybe in high threat games you do play a little bit of Modok. I like being able to put because Modok just wants to turret, right? So if you are playing like Malekith Modok, Modok has the health pool to go through it, and you're not really worried about it. So being able to put this down and then go with Modok, teleport him, and then just start like blasting things, that does excite me. Cause
Maybe use it as bait.
ooh maybe
You put one near Malekith, you put the other one at a place where your opponent is gonna want to use it, and then when they teleport through and take a damage, Malekith just finishes them off.
I don't know that anybody is going to be like, let me willingly take my character and put them within range to Malekith before he activates.
But that's the thing is like I'm not sure you can get anywhere really on the board that you're not in range of Malekith.
You can't, but I mean, I don't know. Then he just stabs you for free without even having to ferocity. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, you can kind of set it up, and the thing is, it does allow. It gives you kind of play on if it becomes a thing. Um, that what? I'm sorry. I feel like I'm typing something in wrong. Um, if it becomes a situation where the game plan becomes run around, run away from him. Uh, that seems like it's just one of those cards where it's like if you have it by chance and you're in your 10, I'm not sure you should. Just put that out there. But it's one of those if the game plan becomes like, okay, you need to run away from Malekith. You need to kind of play, hide and seek, kind of like kind of how the Web Warriors kind of play, where it's just like, stay away from me. I'm just going to get points and hide, where they're not going to have that real option to be able to push and pull him like they can with other characters because he's size 4. But
no,
if that
they can
becomes one of
pull him.
those,
It's unlimited size. I think. I think their pulls are not maybe not the pushes, but the pulls.
Venom's is size 4. Gwen's the other one, right?
Yeah, there's
Venom is not size restricted, isn't it?
no, it's not.
Yeah, by size 4 I mean that he can.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. The two pulls aren't. So yeah, like being able to pull them helps out. But it's just one of those if it becomes a situation where it's like keep away, having that Bifrost just available as a card that exists, um, seems fun.
Yeah,
One of those where it's like you can't get away from me.
I do like it for the maybe slower characters, but let's go on to the other one that's super super exciting. So this is called Midnight Phantasmagoria. It's
Yeah, baby.
it's unaffiliated, it's active, and during his activation, Malekith the Accursed may spend 3 power to play this card. Push all enemy characters within 3 of Malekith away short. Remove 1 damage from Malekith for each character pushed this way. Fucking insane this card is.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. Push any size within 3. Malekith is on a large base, just to remind everybody. So never mind the fact that he heals from it, which is just that's just icing on the cake. But pushing characters within 3 of him short, it affects so much of the board, and it's just such a good scenario piece. It's awesome. This is an awesome card.
Yeah, this is your opponent. If you activate him later in the round, and you use this effectively, your opponent basically cannot count on being on any point in the battlefield.
Yep.
Like you could get Malekith anywhere, and you can use this, and they're just like, well, all my people are off of points.
Yep. It's so with Malekith, it is very apparent that like clearly he leans toward killing. All of his stuff points to killing. His leadership points to killing. If you are having a game where your dice is running a little bit cold and you're playing against something that maybe is a little bit more scenario focused, typically with heavy attrition, you're going to see yourself maybe lagging behind slightly, just depending on play, in scenario a bit before you can start to get an attritional advantage in like turn 3 probably. Sometimes turn 2 to really kind of help yourself catch up in the points game. This, if you're doing well in attrition, this alone can help you secure a win, just scoring, netting a bunch of points. Like on something like Gamma, where Malekith can very clearly affect both the back and the middle, like your opponent's home and the middle Gamma, and then probably let him score it if he goes last, as well as just kind of helping you if you are down on points and your dice are cold and you need to buy yourself another round, keeping your opponent from scoring to let yourself kind of try to come back in attrition again. It just gives you another round. It's just it's awesome. It's just so good. What do you think about this, Brad? Like a card that has this kind of effect on that character.
As someone who's going to be mostly playing against Malekith, not with him,
Yep.
the only good thing I have to say about this card is that at least they can only do it once a game.
Yeah.
That's fair. That is probably the biggest downside on this card is that you can only do it once.
You mean the biggest upside?
Not downside. Downside.
Yeah, what do you think, Brandon? You like it? I mean, I'm sure you like it.
Yeah, no, this is, if you're playing Malekith, this is the first card you grab when you're creating your 5. I don't give a shit about your restricted cards. I don't give a shit about any other cards. The best card you're gonna play if he's in your roster, and it's point blank period. I expect this card probably to get restricted.
Oh, I don't think so.
I am really
I do.
glad that it is a faction card, so
It's
you
not.
can't.
It's unaffiliated.
It is.
That
That's what
one's
I'm getting to.
unaffiliated.
It's
Yeah,
unaffiliated.
it's unaffiliated.
So you get to
It's
play this with
crazy.
him regardless of where you're playing him at. That is why
the pentagrams one is
it's
the one
Cabal.
that's affiliated?
Yeah.
Oh my god! So
The
you
Black
can splash
Bifrost is Cabal
Malekith
and play this card.
I
and
don't
play
think
this card.
I don't
hate
think
it.
that it'll be restricted because
I kind of think it will now.
I actually believe this card.
I mean maybe it will. I'm not gonna rule out that it won't. I'll leave
No,
myself.
I think
I'll
it
leave
could be.
myself
I
out.
do.
Yeah.
I actually would argue this is the best card you can play in the game if you're playing. Is it standard? I don't know what the.
Yes, standard.
I call it standard because of card games.
It's called standard, Brandon.
Well, that's even better. I don't have to learn more words because English is hard. Anyway, I do believe this is the best tactics card in the game that you can play in standard.
It's. I mean, it is. I'll say it. Maybe it will. I don't know. Um, because I will. I'll say I'll be surprised if they choose to restrict character, like maybe affiliation cards. I could see it, but restricting character specific cards, I really don't even think that they're gonna restrict a lot of like affiliation cards. Like they changed pentagrams slightly, so I could see them doing like an alteration. I don't know that they're going to restrict affiliation cards, and I don't know that they're going to restrict character-specific cards. I think that they much prefer to shy away from that.
It
However,
should be Cabal. It should not be unaffiliated.
I agree.
you think
That
it
is a
should?
pretty solid hiccup that they may have overlooked.
I think that I can agree with that. I will say that if they chose to ever restrict it, which again I don't think that they will, but this effect is just it is just so it is so powerful. Just given
Can I tell a story about the first time I read this card real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. Did you go 6 to midnight? I bet you
Oh,
did.
I was laying in bed.
Yep.
And
Yeah, you were.
I remember when someone, I think I saw some people talking about it in our Discord channel, and I was like, well, let me go check it out. Conversation was before I wasn't in the conversation. I was like, oh, let me check it out. And I remember starting to read it, and I was just like, oh, during his activation, Malekith the Accursed may spend 3 power to play this card. And I was like, 3 power is not bad. And it was like, oh, just push all enemy characters within range of Malekith the Accursed away small. I assumed that range was 2. And I was like, oh, that's really good. And then I was like, oh, and then we removed damage from Malekith the Accursed. And that's where I stopped reading. And I was like, oh, so range 2, remove a damage. I was like, that's really good. And then I read it again, and I was like, push all enemy characters within 3. I was like, oh no, that's really really good. And then I stopped again, and I came back a little bit later because I couldn't stop thinking about it. And then I push all enemy characters within 3 away small, remove 1 damage from him for each character push this way. And I was like, holy shit,
Just keeps
this
getting
might be
better.
a problem.
You're like that.
And then I was thinking about all the lists I want to splash him in, and I was like, man, I wish I could take that card.
Yep.
So I pulled it back up, and sure as shit, because I searched Cabal cards, is what happened. I used our CerebroMCP.com list builder, and I went to tactics, and I typed in affiliated, because I was like, all right, we need Dark Rain, and I typed in Cabal, and the only thing that popped up was the Black Bifrost, and I was like, well, what the shit? So I went to affiliated character. I was like, well, maybe for some reason my first thought was, well, maybe Brad messed up and didn't add that tag yet because it was the same day it came out. I was like, he might have been busy or something because he doesn't make mistakes like that. So I typed in affiliated characters and Malekith the Accursed, came up. And I just looked at it, said unaffiliated. I was like, that's busted. I've played a lot of card games. I've seen a lot of cards come out that I'm just like, oh, they messed up. This is one of those instances where you read this, if you read it line by line and comprehend everything it's saying, you can do this on turn 1. Like you can move charge. If you get 3 damage, now all of a sudden you can push everybody. If you're playing an E, if you're on the center, you can push people on all 3 points away.
Yep.
Which is just insane.
You're like that meme with Wolverine, who's like in the bed looking at the picture, and then it shows what he's looking at, and it's like you touching the Midnight Phantasmagoria card.
They dropped a lot of info for the new series today for the X-Men 97
Oh yeah?
series. Yeah, it's looking pretty cool.
Also, the art on that is fantastic. On Midnight Phantasmagoria. Wow. Phantasmagoria. I can't even say it right. I'm just so hot and bothered by it. The art is absolutely beautiful as well. Carl Kirsch?
Carl Kerschel.
A+ work.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought that was an exclamation point. Well, A+, buddy. A+.
Yeah, that tactics card is it's absolutely insane. So everything about Malekith is shaping up to be really good. So but yeah, let's quickly move on to let these guys kind of talk about what rosters they're planning for Malekith. And then we'll kind of wrap up the episode with some comic recommendations as well as Fred's non sequitur. So I'm just going to make a suggestion that you don't do, and that's play him with Dormammu, because that's too many points and it doesn't work out. So
just play him, period. You'll be fine.
I'm assuming, do you have anything, Brad? Or is it just play him in Cabal?
I do not have anything.
All right, so we'll let Fred and Brandon take the stage.
He is the best Cabal leader that you can have, period. So, all right, go ahead, Fred.
Okay, so I'm going to pull a Brad here, and I'm going to say play him in Cabal.
Oh shit, he did it.
Because I want to use that affiliation. Well, yeah, but I have actually, I have a thought.
Yeah, I'm just messing with you.
I have a roster here. So I want to use that affiliation. And do you know what my first thought of that affiliation is?
What's that?
I want to use it to help Crossbones.
There it is. God
damn it.
My boy coming in.
Yeah, my God. I'm muting everything.
So I'm gonna have in this roster, I'm gonna have Sin and Crossbones, and I'm also splashing in a little bit of Brotherhood, as in I'm bringing Magneto as well, who is also technically Cabal. And so you can play with the roster that I've built here, you can play either a Malekith list with a really strong Cabal group. You could play Magneto, playing the Brotherhood, or you can mix and match. And if you in a really high point game, you can bring Malekith and Magneto, and then toss in a bunch of twos for flavor.
I like
flavor.
that I mean, Magneto and Malekith both are going to get dazes and KOs like nobody's business. Like Magneto's one of the killiest characters in the game. And I like that
Yeah.
you can really use the leadership in that roster to facilitate, like giving a Magneto a short move to put him in place of like somebody like throws or put somebody within range 3 so he can start attacking them. That's awesome. So
Yeah, that's
And
my
you're playing
Magneto's
Bullseye on that list, right?
Yes, yeah, Bullseye's there. Absolutely. But giving Magneto easy access to a short move is really helpful for Magneto, and I think that that is, aside from being 13 points for 2 models, I think that that's a really strong combo.
absolutely.
That's me. I'm done.
Do you have Gamma in your list?
Yes.
Good. So if you
100%. What are you talking about?
I know.
Gamma
Listen,
would
I
be
know.
insane.
I'm asking questions I know the answer to for our viewers, Fred. All right. If you come up to a table that's really dense with like terrain and stuff, and you can just put out Malekith, Magneto, Bullseye at 15,
Mm-hmm.
chef's kiss. All right. It's gorgeous. Um, we had talked about some lists in the Discord, so I kind of kept this one a little bit off to the side because I think it's solid. I don't know a whole lot about this affiliation, so it might be a little left field for me um, because most of the lists I have played and have built for Malekith are very centric on Cabal. My Cabal list is basically 7 Cabal models, 3 tech pieces, and a Hulk, or 6 Cabal models, 3 tech pieces, and a Hulk. Because on Gamma, playing Hulk, Malekith, and Bullseye is something I don't believe anybody would ever want to play against, and I'm pretty sure I just gave like Brad just an aneurysm just to think about that idea. Um, my list that I have for Malekith that I brought on the podcast is called Guardians of the Ten Realms. I believe Malekith is really, really good with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
Uh, I don't think it's any weird thing. You just play your base Guardians, and then you can play Malekith in it. Guardians have always kind of had that. A lot of Guardians lists have had like Thanos in the past. Where they have a lot of 2s and 3s that are affiliated, it makes that 7 less awkward. Every time I build a list, I I think the 2 best 3-point models with Malekith that you can bring are Scourge and Zemo, and then you want a Bullseye or a 2-point model. That 7 does get awkward when you're constructing lists. It kind of makes you have to be really in depth on the numbers you have because you want to make sure you're not pinned into playing a specific model or playing a point down. But that Guardians kind of cure that issue where they have so many playable 2s and 3s. The 4 is kind of the tricky spot, but then you can play like if you need a 4, you just play 2 2s, so forth and so on. The list does. I do play 3 2s in the list. Nebula and Rocket, obviously, and then Okoye, because Okoye is still really, really good. But Guardians do what Malekith wants to do, and that's kill stuff. They love to shoot stuff. They love to get those intricate amounts of damage. They can give out conditions.
And he loves the
And
winging it. He loves it.
yeah, and then you get winging it tokens, and it's just I think it's fun. I think if you're a Guardians player, I think most Guardians players usually have a flex spot there at the end of their roster. I think Malekith is a perfect addition to that. Just for the fact that I think people are going to get scared seeing him in the list. It's kind of like the Thanos feature. Like you can just throw Thanos in the list and people are going to be like, "Oh God, I don't want to play against Thanos." And now that's in their brain. They're thinking about it. They're going to make decisions based on that idea. You might not ever even have to play Malekith, but if you can squeak out a win because they think you're going to take Malekith, you're in a good spot. Or it's just kind of you get to play some mind games as well. Also, if you put him on the table, he's absolutely great. So like you're not going to lose or have a negative because you decided to put him on the table.
All right, well, two very good suggestions. Both a good Cabal roster as well as Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, I mean they always love playing a thicker piece with them because being able to go 5 wide and also have like a massive piece is always hard to deal with. So, well, let's rotate over to comic recommendations. So, what do you have for us this week, Brad?
Yeah. I wanted to make sure that I picked something where he had the tiger. So I found.
What's the Tiger's name?
I don't know.
Ah,
Hold on. I'll find that. So most of his time as a character, he's not had that. That's a recent addition. And so I'm going to recommend the first story where he has the tiger. And it is Thor, God of Thunder, 12 through 18. That's what's collected in the like trade paperback. So I don't know if 100% of that's part of the story, but it's not that many issues. The storyline's called The Accursed. It's by Jason Aaron and Rob Garney, and there's some other artists sprinkled in there. But Malekith comes back, and he has a flying tiger now. Plus, Thor finds new allies to aid him: a dark elf sorceress, a gun-toting light elf, a gargantuan mountain giant, and a dwarf who loves dynamite. So that sounds like fun. I've not read this story, but
that does
it
sound
does
like
sound
fun.
like fun.
I can get behind that. That does seem pretty cool. And Thor comics are usually pretty good. They're usually pretty good reads.
All right, well, did you find the name of the tiger yet? We'll come back to you. We'll give you a little bit more time.
Yeah, okay.
So for our final segment, we have Fred's non sequitur recommendations. So what do you have for us this week, Fred?
So this week, what I brought for everybody is that you should play the Elder Scrolls series of video games. Specifically, the reason why it's the full series is because the one that is still, remotely playable is Skyrim, but the one that is most relevant is the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. So in Morrowind, a little bit of backstory. That is the homeland of the Dark Elves in the universe of the Elder Scrolls, and it is also probably the video game that I have sunk the most time in my life. I play. It came out when I was in high school, and I had nothing but time, so I did nothing but play that game for a while, and that was. It's like I said, probably one of my favorite games of all time, and is also essentially just like unplayable dog shit now. It's very hard. Like I've tried picking it up relatively recently, and I was like, "Holy shit, how did I play this?" But those games are excellent and worth playing, no matter what time frame no matter how your gaming proficiency has developed. That is my recommendation, and I'm keeping it short today.
All right, thank you, Fred. All right, Brad, last chance.
I haven't found it yet. So.
All right, we'll save it for next time.
Also can't find it, so he may not have
Maybe
a
he doesn't
name.
have a name.
Or if you know the name, you place it in our comment section.
Yeah, leave us a comment. And while you're doing that, leave us a like and subscribe too. Go ahead, do it. Well, that wraps us up for this
Alright.
week. Thank you very much for joining us, guys. Hope you enjoyed this coverage of Malekith as well as all the stuff from Mini Stravaganza. Be looking out next week for more of the stuff that they have released the full cards to. So we have several that they've released by now. So be going over those in the coming weeks. So stay tuned and thanks again. Bye, guys.
Yeah, thanks. Goodbye.